Windhorse is our innate ability to uplift ourselves and our environment by giving rise to a positive energy that is both relaxed and disciplined. Since 1981, Windhorse Community Services has integrated this understanding with modern conventional therapies, meditation, and contemplative traditions in the development of at-home, whole-person mental health recovery. Windhorse Journal is dedicated to the mission of communicating decades of clinical and personal experience to professionals, educators, students, and anyone seeking recovery options. Please join the dialogue.
Welcome to Windhorse Journal Entry 71, Work Works. This is an excerpt from a panel discussion that was held at the 2019 Windhorse Conference, including Mindful Works and the Community Programs team at Windhorse Community Services. In this discussion, Sue Williams and apprentice Persephone invite us into the inner workings of Mindful Works' daily routines, what drives their mission, and how they accomplish it. We also get a preview of some of the beautiful products that they sell in local artisan fairs, farmers markets, and on their website at mindful-works.org. We hope you enjoy.
So I'm Sue Williams with Mindful Works, and I'm happy to be joined by Persephone, one of our star apprentices. First, I'd like to thank you all for being here, because the good news is work works. It is evidence-based. It is scientifically proven that having a job helps recovery. With that, I'd like to show you Mindful Works. I think you can get an idea of what we do. Narrated by an apprentice. So I think she did a terrific job.
For those who don't know exactly what Mindful Works is and what we do, we are a nonprofit social enterprise, and our mission is all about working with people who've had some mental health challenges that created some barriers they'd like to work through. Some of the skills we focus on are arriving on time, work-appropriate attire, working on a team and achieving constructive criticism, plus just taking a project from start to finish in an organized fashion. And then we take all of those apprentices and encourage them back into the traditional labor market, back into school, or wherever they'd like their path to take them. We have a staff of 2 interns, 8 apprentices, and countless magical volunteers. And starting in the fall, we're excited to welcome another social work intern. Plus, who can forget Sue, Becky, and the board of directors? We wouldn't be here without all of their hard work. Now, we accomplish our mission through job training and real employment, which means all of the apprentices learn how to make all the wonderful products behind me. Let me take you a quick tour of some of the samples that we have. So we have a couple of poofs in some of our fun different sizes. We have a neck wrap and eye pillow. We got our little baddie over here. Then we also have a bunch of fun throw pillows. And who can forget our lovely flags. And more of our meditation products. We've got some Zafus, a rectangle meditation cushion, and one of our lotus meditation cushions. Now we have just a few of our bath and body products. We have some sugar scrubs as well as some whipped body butter. Now I'm going to take you on a quick tour through our kitchen. We are making some fun dog biscuits. And then over here on the right, we are making some orange cranberry cookies. Alrighty, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you. So we to have a community partner, the First Congregational Church of Boulder, which is right downtown, and we rent space from them. And they have been a tremendous partner, tremendously supportive. We rent this much space, but Monday through Friday, we spill out into all parts of the church. And it's wonderful. We just have to go back in Friday before choir practice. And they also are letting us use their wonderful commercial kitchen at no charge. So it's a wonderful partner, and we're really, really happy to be there. I'm only going to briefly introduce you in addition to what you've seen, and let Persephone talk about employment. But I just want to review. Mindful Works started in 2015. We are a nonprofit social enterprise, which means we are a business that has a social impact purpose. So there's two parts to us, and sometimes it gets challenging to balance, but it introduces people who want to make work part of their recovery to the real world. What we make, what Persephone works on, what the other apprentices make, as part of making it, we're just not making these things for craft events and isn't that nice? No, we have to turn around and sell them, which means they have to be something the market will pay for, and we have to price them at something the market will pay, and it has to be of a quality that's competitive, and it has to have the right labeling. So people who want to make work part of their recovery, and they need a stepping stone, they need a transitional space, that's what we are. And we offer people, as Persephone's going to talk about, all different parts of experience around a business. So we have a website, we have online sales, we have sales DTC, direct to consumer at markets. We have some of our goods in stores. We have to take photographs and upload that to the website and have a full description so that people know what they're buying. We have to deal with shipping. We have to deal with sales tax in multiple jurisdictions. We have to pay the state. We have to do a 990. We have all the parts of a business, as well as helping people develop their soft skills, most importantly, their confidence to return to the traditional labor market or return to school. And it sometimes is a road that's longer than, when Joanne and I envisioned this, the road is longer than we thought. But the research shows that it is a long road, because what we're talking about is helping people deal with an employment obstacle. And sometimes that obstacle is large, and it has been there for a while. So chipping away at that obstacle, chipping away at stigma, helping people with a recent job history, a letter of recommendation, and to say, I have done all of these things as they turn outward to the community, has been very important, but not without dings against the business. So that's what we're always balancing. Samantha, you said something so profound, a regular person going to work. And that's really what we're trying to help people develop. You have a job, so when someone says, so what do you do when they meet you? You don't say, oh, I deal with my symptoms. You say, I work. I go to Mindful Works. I get paid Colorado minimum wage. I have a job. It's just a different mindset. And as Samantha and Persephone knows, we count on people to show up because they have a job to do. We count on them to make these products so we can go to the market. So there is an expectation that when you come to Mindful Works, you're ready to work. And some of the wonderful things, all handmade here in Boulder by our apprentices. I've said enough. I think you really want to hear from Persephone.
Hello, thank you for having me here. I was asked to just give a little bit of a reflection on the benefits of Mindful Works, to build a little bit on what Sue was saying. The first four things that I thought of were tactile work for a restless mind and a restless person. Tactile work is very important for people who are struggling with their minds. Good self-esteem and feelings of belonging. Social validation, and also just feelings of accomplishment are very important. And in addition to receiving help for your person, you're also in a productive place. And I think that's very important. So I said this aspect of recovery or of therapeutic life is very important and vital. For humans thrive in a structure, and most and many people lose their way solely on the basis of not having a structure, a work ethic, or a stable routine to their life. It's also why a lot of people turn to religion and other things, doing the same thing over and over routinely. So for me, the positivity in my work environment aids in my overall feelings of self-worth, and it is soothing to work with materials and fabrics, sewing machines, like the rhythm of the sewing machine, the grains, which reminds me a lot of farm work, which I've done a lot of in my life, and the oils, and also being able to bake in the kitchen, which is something I get pushed out of the kitchen a lot, so it's nice when someone sends me in there to participate. And Sue always makes sure that it's a good time and that everyone, you're not just there. I think the difference of a therapeutic climate is that someone is kind of looking out for your betterment. And I did say that, many people turn to gardens for a similar therapeutic offering or service, which I know that Windhorse has. But I find that Mindful Works has a similar aid in our recovery. Also, giving people who are ailing or with some sort of special needs employment and a container for that employment, I think is a very high-level service project and alleviates those who are afflicted on the basis of their health or the afflictions of the society or problems created by our world. So you could say that nonprofits set up in this way, they are kind of relieving a symptom that you could say is created by, like a societal burden, or maybe relieving a demographic of people who struggle in that way. People are brought here because we all are afflicted in some capacity. So anyway, I found that before I joined that aspect of the program, I had a lot of idle time, and just having that rhythm to my life and doing things that are crafty, which I did in childhood, and a little bit of payment is also important for people in a special needs position. I think that is a very good thing to do. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I do want to add just a little piece in saying I so appreciate Persephone and Samantha, Laura, what you've prepared to share with us, your stories, as well as this is work. All of us who've set the background up and everything like this are sweating to try to get this together. So totally appreciate and empathize how much it takes to just get on the stage we've created here and share your story. So thank you everybody, but specifically you three for putting this together. So at this time, I want to invite you from the audience to have questions.
My question is for Sue about Mindful Works. I have stumbled across Mindful Works in Boulder occasionally at some kind of craft festival, such as I think it was last weekend. I saw you at the Firefly Market, and I bought some lovely lotion. And I was wondering if you could tell us, is there some kind of regularity where those of us that live in the area can find you? I've seen you sometimes at the Boulder Farmers Market. Are you there monthly or weekly, or where can your products be seen?
And that was not a plant question, but thank you, Kathy. Yes, the farmers markets around here do an artisan fair. And in Boulder, it's the second Saturday of the month, and in Longmont, it's the fourth. And then, yes, we've been so fortunate to participate in Firefly. But you can always find our products online.
But it's really fun to stumble across them and then just see what the selection is.
Right, and to see our booths, right?
Right.
Filled with new stuff. So, yes. Thank you.
What you're describing is one of the most difficult things to keep afloat. It's not easy to keep any kind of business afloat, but this particular type. And please, all of you, if you end up on our fundraising list, or a mailing list, please come to these things. And if you know anybody that has interest in connecting with a really worthwhile, really beneficial activity. And this wasn't planned either.
And I have to interrupt, sorry, Mike, but I just want to say, so that, keep in mind when, the bravery of folks here today, but also when we work at a market, our sign says Mindful Works, employment, confidence, community. It doesn't say, buy our meditation cushion and help someone dealing with depression. Our apprentices, and especially when folks come to work at a market, stigma is so strong, even in our world, right? We deal with employment obstacles. That's how we leave it.
Thanks. This has been really great. I think that you touched on that. I know from my own personal experience, I had a huge psychotic break years and years and years ago and had to rebuild my life. And I think that one of the things that I loved about the work part that I actually kind of did on my own. I wish that I had had an employment specialist. That would have been awesome. But, I was on disability. They tell you can only work a certain amount of time. So I had to kind of go into and also build the confidence. I had to go into a restaurant and say, hey, I can only work 15 hours. And I needed to show myself that I could be more than what my diagnosis said that I could be. And I think that's the thing that I love about what you just said, is that I think that when someone has that devastating mental illness or extreme state or whatever we want to call it, the message at the beginning, and maybe it has to be the message at the beginning, but the message at the beginning is like, that's all you are, right? You have to focus on it 100%. And sometimes like the psychotherapy piece, sometimes it gets so old, right? Like I can't talk about myself one more minute. And so, it's like instead, I found that I got my feet from working and not being my illness, and not overly identifying. It was when people would ask, like, oh, must be nice, you can only work for 15 hours a week, I'm like, yeah, I'm a stay-at-home wife. But I was so tempted to I just had a breakdown and I was in a psychiatric hospital and I was in a program for 6 months and I'm a mess. And I was in therapy during that time period too, which was beneficial because it was triggering, like having to kind of lie and be, well, not lie, like people, you just don't share that stuff, right? But you're so tempted when somebody says like, oh, where'd you come from? It's like hard, I came from hell. That's where I came from. But it's, I really, really do. I'm inspired by this, and I always feel like I'm kind of somebody who, I work in outreach for Portland and San Luis Obispo and Northampton, but I'm always, and I think this is just my human condition, my own personal, is like, well, what do I want to be when I grow up? And I'm like, I want to be an employment specialist. That would be awesome. Yeah, it really, because I think about, I think about my own journey, and I think that is underrated and not part of the recovery movement, the fact that it doesn't exist is what I mean. So anyway, this has been wonderful. And I'm always looking for great gifts to give family who, what do you give people who have everything? Something meaningful. Anyway, thank you. Thank you.
Can I just make a brief comment on that, Elaine? Thank you for your comment. And just in my role, not as moderator, but as team leader holding groups in community programs, it's been really inspiring to see all the work you're describing as seminal to recovery, as well as the curriculum we're talking about here in the list, take some work to pull out of what feels like a naturally healing situation where you have value again and you have work, and the product that comes out of that work is strong and wanted. Also, the peer support role or the lived experience on teams has been seminal, both in my experience in Northampton, and we're developing that here. So just to say, we're at this cusp of naming and pulling out the clinical and sort of larger value of what's inherent in these positions, and so just appreciating the edge of that work that's being described right now.
I too am so inspired by the work that you're doing. I work at Windhorse Northampton, and Elaine, maybe we can partner in some way to get something, I think ideally like Mindful Works off the ground. I'm just going to rattle off a few really practical questions. So I'm wondering about how many clients in Boulder participate. Is there a certain percentage? Additionally, what does a typical day look like, or how many hours does that sort of thing happen? Does the work happen on shifts, etc.? And then also, I was a little bit confused. I heard the term apprentice as well as volunteer. I'm wondering if you could define those two. Thank you.
So I'll answer the first one, and then I'm going to have you, Persephone, talk about the shifts and that kind of thing. So currently, we have 10 apprentices, and the apprentices are folks who are referred to us. We have a couple partner agencies. One very valuable is Windhorse Community Services. We also partner with Colorado Recovery. We partner with Mental Health Partners, which is the community mental health center. We get referrals from private practitioners, and most of our referrals come through the Division of Voc Rehab, okay? Because the Division of Voc Rehab is the organization, state funded, that really provides a broader spectrum of services to people who want to work, who want to demonstrate work readiness, right? So currently that's all we have is 10. Those folks, for the most part, are paid Colorado minimum wage, okay? So that is a limiting factor for us. If you're paying everybody, that you have to meet payroll. We also, as mentioned in the video, we are blessed with a number of volunteers. And the volunteers like Laura came in because they love to sew, okay? And they come from various places and they come in and sew and they love it. We also have skilled seamstresses who teach people. Everyone learns how to sew, right, Persephone? Mm-hmm. Everyone, boys, girls, old, young. So that's we have currently a wait list from the Division of Voc Rehab. We can only have as many people as goods we sell, okay? So we currently have more people and more people on our wait list than we have sales. And that's the gap, that we're always struggling with. So fortunately we have donors, but as I alluded to, we've gotten into baking. As you saw, we've gotten into dog biscuits, none of which we can sell yet. We have to get through a whole lot of steps around licensing. But we're trying to find more products that appeal to the market that will allow us to hire more people. So do you want to talk about shifts and building stamina?
I mean, I guess for me, for an average person who would be positioned there, someone just comes in for, you start with maybe 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours a day. And we've been gradually working at extending that time. And so I think when I started, first it was even just 2-4 hours a week or something. And now it's about 10. Yeah. It comes to about 10. So that's enough for someone to. It's a start. I mean, that was the question. Yeah.
So Katie, you asked about shifts. So I used to have the great pleasure of working with Sue and at Mindful Works when it was called Infinitely Simple. And often people would also come on their shifts and work alongside a BA or a team leader. So that was also incorporated into the model as well. So that was a great way to spend your shift time at work, and it was really supportive as well for the whole situation.
Just to say how many days a week?
Oh, it's 3 days a week. And just another thing I observed with the making of these products, as they are related to, a therapeutic program, it's really nice to be able to show, like I have sent some of the things that I've created to the people supporting me here, and they're things that they really like. And so I just wanted to say I have admired that a lot.
Thank you. Really appreciate getting all this information and hearing about it. I'm a private caretaker for someone, and this has been one of the big struggles that the family and the individual's having, especially TBI is involved from age of a minor and then extreme states of mind. So it's just one of these things where it's been very, very difficult for us to find any kind of resources or so forth. Trying to go through vocational rehab, actually, different counties. So I'm not sure if you're, like, what you both work with is specific to Boulder County, but just it was interesting that we haven't heard about these programs with the vocational counselor that's been helping us out, who we're grateful for nonetheless. But just also kind of curious, because this individual didn't have a chance to enter the workforce before getting assaulted with physical trauma and then having lots of emotional traumas come along with that. So just kind of tossing that out there, and I'd love to hear what you all have in response. Thank you.
Do I understand the question is if someone doesn't have a work history?
Yeah, that's part of it, definitely.
Yeah, and where to begin?
Yeah, you know, like there's so much that goes into that, just around like helping the individual manage daily life activities, to then like helping them understand job preparedness. One, you know, there's also the push and pull.
Well, my first thought is to refer to Mindful Works.
Yeah.
As a start. Are you in Boulder County with this person?
This person kind of bounces back and forth between family members and counties. So, you know, that's also part of the conversation that I have with them.
So DVR will send people to work with us around employment. So we're a vendor of DVR. So we could meet with your person and see what kinds of supports and services they're looking for, and to see if that's a good fit for us or for Sue. So we do work with quite a few DVR only. So they're not getting Windhorse services like a team, but they're just working with us around employment. So that is an option.
Great, thank you. That's very helpful.
I'll add one thing. What comes to mind is someone's passion. You know, your friend's passion and what they're interested in. We at Windhorse have worked with someone for many, many years, decades now, and this person has a lot of physical and mental challenges. And so it's at some point going, oh, well, let's get you a job. That wasn't quite the next step. You know, it was, oh, what do you have interest in? What is your passion? And what this person came back and said was I want to be of benefit to folks. Well, the person ended up doing some volunteer work at the homeless shelter. And, you know, there's a whole, so I want to highlight the steps. So many steps that can happen that can still support someone feeling of benefit in the world. And work can be part of that progression, of course.
Thank you very much. I want to just make sure if the panel wants to say anything else. We're approaching our time right now. If there's a burning question, how would you like to use the last couple of minutes?
I was also just thinking that, so not only employment services, but DVR will pay for our classes as well. So that is something. We have like 4 DVR clients that attend the Thursday class. And it's kind of nice when they can participate with Sue, get some real work experience, and then really get the opportunity to learn some new skills and strategies. So it's a nice coupling.
Was there one more thing in the front?
I just want to personally thank all of you for being willing to offer this at the conference. And, you know, obviously I know most of you well, and I love you all, and you've just done an amazing job at the community program level, bringing work through Mindful Works over all of these years, you know, facing so many obstacles. So I just thank you. And this has been a beautiful event, and I really appreciate being here.
Thanks for listening to Windhorse Journal Entry 71, Work Works. We invite you to check out more videos from the 2019 Windhorse Conference on our YouTube page at youtube.com/user/windhorsecommunity. Stay tuned for next month's podcast, when we invite the Mindful Works team back to dive deeper into why employment can be so beneficial throughout recovery from mental health challenges.
Windhorse Journal is a publication of Windhorse Community Services, supporting recovery from mental health challenges at home and in the community since 1981.